Hey, what's up, leaders? It's Danny, and I just left my family, and I think you should too. If you're interested why I left my family, check out the video. So you're probably wondering, why would you leave your family? Well, I only left them for 3 days. And I think the reason I think you should is because as husbands, fathers, and leaders, we give a lot. If you're doing it right, you should be giving. You should be living a selfless life where you give into your family, into your spouse, into your career, into your coworkers. And sometimes in life, I think we have to refill ourselves. And that's what I try to do a couple times a year. This year, I spent some time hunting in the springtime, and in the fall, I decided I was going to take this bushcrafting class. And if you're not familiar with bushcrafting, it's basically going into the woods with not necessarily minimal gear, but not a whole lot of manufactured gear, and making everything you can on your own. So instead of bringing a tent, you bring a tarp and you create a tent. Instead of bringing a lighter, you bring a rock and a piece of metal and maybe some char cloth, and you spark that rock on that metal and you create fire. You're creating, and I think when you decide to leave your family and take a break, it's important to be creative. It breathes life into me, at least. It reminds me that I am a creative person and that I can do things that I didn't think I could, and that are challenging. And this class was a little bit challenging. You know, we slept outside. We didn't have a tent or sleeping bags. We just used wool blankets. So that was challenging. So if you're going to leave your family, go challenge yourself. Go do something hard. A review of this bushcrafting class would be: 1, that I was impressed; 2, that I had fun; 3, that I learned, but it wasn't like a fire hose worth of information. It was just enough. It was put on by a gentleman named Dan Wowak. Dan has a lot of YouTube videos. Like, go on his YouTube video, tons, very knowledgeable. And that's kind of where I saw some YouTube videos. I saw his class. I'm going to take it. And then when I got there, I actually learned that he was one of the contestants on the show Alone. It was on, I believe, season 3, when they were in the Argentinian Patagonia, and he survived for over 50 days. And, sometimes I've been in classes where I have someone who's an expert, and they will let you know they're an expert and that the way they do things is the most important and the correct way. And I did not get this from Dan at all. He was very laid back, very knowledgeable. Like, there wasn't a question he didn't have at least some insight into, but he would be very willing to say, I don't know, but I think I would do this. He didn't, anytime you have someone that has all the answers, they probably don't. And he was that kind of guy. He had good information, but it wasn't the only way you could do something. And he would say that, hey, this is a good way, but your way might be good too. Let me see how you did it. And it was a very interactive class. We could ask questions, he could ask us questions, and it was just a very easy to go to class. Not a lot of pressure. The class started at about 9 o'clock on a Friday, and we went all the way until Sunday about 10 o'clock. So the days were jam-packed. We learned how to sharpen our knives and axes. We learned how to start a fire with a flint, a steel, and some char cloth, which we made. We made little baggies out of leather with needle and thread. We learned how to make a ground sheet to keep us up off the ground when we were sleeping at night, because we didn't have sleeping bags or air mattresses. We learned how to make cook systems where, we had these little Cornish game hens, and we started a fire with a flint and steel, and then we cooked the chickens right on there in the system of rotisserie. Really cool stuff. I really underestimated how cool it was to start fire with a flint and steel. I feel like I've accomplished some pretty cool things, and I wasn't expecting to go to this class and go, man, that was amazing that I accomplished this. But taking a rock and hitting it against a piece of metal and having that spark fly off and catching it and then making it into a big fire that you can cook dinner with was so cool. It was really, really cool. So I really nerded out, and we had to do it a couple times in front of people, so there's a little bit of time, to see how fast we can do it, kind of. But I find myself just I just kept doing it. I made fires all weekend, and that was really cool. So if you feel like you're a husband, a father, a leader, and maybe you feel a little overwhelmed, maybe you feel a little bit empty. And to be honest with you, I've been very busy. We've sold our house, and work was busy, and just lots going on, and I think I felt a little bit empty. And I left my family for just a little bit to work on me, to give myself a recharge, a reboost. I encourage you to do that. It doesn't have to be bushcrafting. Maybe it's you go to spring break, go down to Florida for spring break baseball and watch a bunch of baseball games. Or maybe you go on a road trip with your best friend and go see some sights. But take some time for yourself. I think it's important, because if you're doing it right, you're giving, you're selfless. You're breathing life into the world, and sometimes you need to have something to breathe out. And I think that's important. If you liked the idea of going to a bushcrafting school and you'd like to check out Coalcracker Bushcrafting, I'm doing a review on all the gear that I took, why I picked that, whether I actually used it or not, and where I got it from. So watch that video. If not, so watch some of my other videos, and I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye.